This is Panther Report here, joined by my friend Isaac. I've known him on Twitter for about 3 years now, and we're going to talk about the Panthers draft, who they picked up, and the upcoming season, and how we think they are going to do with the new pickups they have. Isaac, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Isaac. Some people know me as City, but most people know me as Isaac. I'm a Packers fan, and this is the first time I've tried any of this podcast stuff, so I'm as new to it as you are. But I'm excited to see how it goes. So, yeah.
I think the pick that surprised everyone the most, I would say definitely the number one pick, because everyone was expecting Justin Fields to go number one,
Yeah.
and we ended up with J.C. Horn. And I'm happy about J.C. Horn, but at the same time, I wouldn't have minded Fields, because right now we have Sam Darnold, and I don't know what direction we're going with him, if we're going to keep him long term, or if we're only going to keep him for like a couple years that's on his contract and then get rid of him. I have no idea what we're going to do there.
Yeah. I honestly agree with it more than I would disagree with it, because you guys do have Sam Darnold, and being honest, like, he played for the Jets. Let's start there. Like, he played for the Adam Gase Jets.
Yeah.
So it's not like his potential was anywhere near reached. And especially with Matt Rule and Joe Brady, who run an offense similar to the LaFleur Shanahan type stuff.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold can really move. Like, he didn't do it much with Adam Gase's offense, but he can move, and I think he can be used really well with boots and jet sweeps and all that stuff. So I think it's really fair to give him a chance, and I think there's a good chance he could play out. Like, he could fit. I could see it happening. So passing on Justin Fields might look bad, but I think it's really worth it to at least give him a chance.
Yeah, I for sure think he's going to be a great corner. He literally was like a lockdown corner at South Carolina, so I personally think he's going to do an amazing job on Carolina.
Yeah, he was the best corner in my draft by far. In my opinion. He has all the speed, the coverage. He's really good in the run game, and he can diagnose screens super easily, which is something when I was watching him, I really think he plays a lot like Jair Alexander. Like, Jair Alexander is physical. He blows up runs. He diagnoses screens. He knows where the ball is all the time, knocks it out. He's aggressive, and I see all of that in J.C. Horn.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring a lot to the cornerbacks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The next player we have is Terrence Marshall. I think he's going to be a great, I don't know if I can call it a replacement, but a great receiver to have since we're missing Curtis Samuel, because Curtis Samuel could do just about anything. You can hand the ball off to him, throw it to him, anything.
Yeah.
So I personally think Terrence Marshall is going to do a great job of holding the spot of wide receiver 3 since we don't have Curtis anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't find a flaw with him, honestly. I don't know why he slid so far. Like, I thought he was better than a good amount of receivers that were, maybe a few receivers that were picked ahead of him. But he was making contested catches. He was running solid routes. He even beat J.C. Horn on a play I watched, which is funny enough. And yeah, he fits that Curtis Samuel role, who obviously need to be replaced after he left for Washington. And he can play the slot amazingly. So I think he fits well next to DJ Moore, and I think it's a really good pickup by you guys.
And then next we have Brady Christensen. He's going to be I believe our left tackle, unless we move him around. But I think that was a great pickup by us because our O-line the last couple of years, or ever since we've had Cam, has just not been good. In Super Bowl 50, you got dominated by Von Miller and the whole Broncos D-line. So I think that was a great pickup by us.
Yeah, you guys have needed to address O-line for a while. And it's good that you did, especially with Sam Darnold coming, because he came from the Jets, who never really protected him ever.
Yeah.
So you like to see that. Like, he probably appreciated that pick a lot. He he makes most of his blocks from what I've watched. He can get beat sometimes. He looks a little slow sometimes, but he can also play guard with his size. He kind of has guard size, so if you absolutely need to, he can probably be moved in. But yeah, most things I see from him, I really like that pick too.
Up next, we have Tommy Trimble. He's going to be one of our tight ends. We also have Dan Arnold. Tommy Trimble is, from what I've seen, he's more of a blocker than he is a receiver. But at the same time, we can develop him and make him a receiver so that he can have both in his arsenal.
Yeah. This pick is honestly probably my second or third favorite behind JC Horn. Like, I absolutely loved it. Like, watching him, he was a great blocker, and that is absolutely something you need for Christian McCaffrey. It's going to help him a lot considering your guys' offense revolves around him.
Yeah.
And he was making the open catches from what I saw, so, like, that's all you need sometimes. He was making a lot of good pulls and seals. And the ceiling is really good because a lot of CMC, he can do any run in the world. He can do anything. But a lot of his runs are outside, just like how that offense works, and it also kind of tailors to him with his speed. And he was sealing off holes so often. So I think that pick might be one of the most impactful out of this draft for you guys.
I definitely agree with that. And then next we have Chuba Hubbard. He's our running back, or going to be our backup running back for McCaffrey. I personally think this was a great pick as long as we utilize him enough, because Christian McCaffrey, we sometimes run him into the ground during the season. So
Yeah.
I personally think now that we have Chuba Hubbard, if we use both of them, it can get some of the stress off of McCaffrey and make him better in the long run.
Yeah, he led college football in rushing in 2019, so he's obviously more than a capable back. He has crazy breakaway speed. Like when he sees the light, he's gone. And he sees holes amazingly well. He was cutting through the smallest holes when I was watching him. I noticed that it's really hard to arm tackle him, even though he's not the biggest guy. Like arm tackles just weren't working on him. I didn't see him get physical very much, but when he has, it's been effective. It seems like he always gets into the end zone on like 2 or 3 yard situations, and he can just power through it if he needs to. And then, as you said, like CMC, you guys running him into the ground. So if something happens like last year, it's good to have a serviceable backup. But also, it could be useful just not having him out on the field every single down and tiring him out.
Exactly.
So I really like that pick too.
Next, we have Davian Nixon. He's a D tackle. I personally like this pick because we have been building an amazing defense over the past 2 years, and then us choosing a lot of defense this year as well. Although we're really young, I personally think in a few years, once we develop them all the way, that we can be a great defense and maybe as good as like Legion of Boom or something like that eventually going down the line.
Yeah, I don't see many holes in your defense like at all. So I really love this pick too because from what I saw, his strength is pass rushing, and it seems like he always knows where the ball is. He makes plays in the backfield. I didn't see him get many tackles broken off of him. He might not be the best run stuffer because I didn't see many highlights of it, but you're pairing him next to Derek Brown, who can do that and more. So I think he fits perfectly, and I think he's a very attributable piece to your guys' defense.
And then the next person we have on defense is Keith Taylor Jr., corner. I think this is more of a depth pick than it was like skill because I think we already have our starting 3 corners. But I think Keith is for depth and maybe to hold AJ Boye's place during the 2-game suspension that he has right now.
Yeah, I saw this is one of the picks, maybe 1 or 2 picks I didn't like the most. Obviously, in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, you're not going to get the most skilled players, so that's understandable. He didn't have the best speed, but the thing about him was he always was playing with energy, and he was always trying. He's a willing tackler, which is something you don't get out of a lot of quarterbacks. He at least tries, and it seems like his coverage, he covers pretty well. The only knock I'd have on him really is working a little on tackling, which can be fixed, and playing the ball in the air. It seemed like sometimes he'd misjudge the ball, but besides that, I agree he's a really good depth piece at the very least.
Exactly, yeah. And then Deontay Brown, we added a guard. I personally think this is depth for our O-line as well, because the more depth we have at O-line, the better, especially if certain players start to get really tired out or something and we need to sub them in. I don't know if he's going to start yet or not, but I guess we'll see once the season begins.
Yeah, I like this pick too. I mean, I like all offensive line picks, honestly, because having more offensive line depth is just the best. Like it's the most important unit in football when it comes down to it. So having more guys is always better than not having any guys. So he seemed serviceable. He'll probably be rotational, maybe a starter one day. He's very powerful and strong, and he actually held his own once versus Derek Brown. It's funny that you guys are drafting all these guys who have experience with your other players, but yeah, he played against Derek Brown and he held his own. So he has potential, and again, at the very least, he can be a rotational guy. So.
And then Shee Smith, who went to South Carolina and played with J.C. Horn, who's another receiver. I think, along with the last couple picks, I think this is depth as well, just to add depth to the receiving core and make our receiving core better.
Yeah, I really like this pick. He seemed like one of the most underrated receivers coming into the draft. And honestly, I wanted the Packers to grab him around then, but didn't happen. He has solid speed. He doesn't. I've seen a few clips where he has holes, but he doesn't really have that breakaway speed. But it does fill out your wide receiver room. So he'll probably play the slot a little. But again, like the last two guys, he'll probably be a rotational, like, moment kind of player. So I like it.
I like it as well. The next pick we had was Thomas Fletcher. He's a long snapper. I didn't watch like anything on this dude, but
yeah.
But I mean, it was inspirational, that video that the Panthers posted. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that, but it was basically they called him and he thought he was going undrafted, but Matt Rule told him that they were drafting him around 6.
That's nice. I like that. Yeah, I wrote that there wasn't much to say. He's a long snapper. He's good at long snapping. He gets the job done and fills the needs. So,
yeah,
you know, it's a pick. But yeah, that's a good story. I like that. You always like feel good stories in football. There's a lot of them.
Exactly. And then lastly was Phil Hoskins, another D tackle, which again is more depth for the D line. And I think having depth at the D line is going to help out, because the better your D line, the less amount of time the corners have to cover their receivers, because they're going to get to the quarterback. So I personally think it's going to make our defense even better with the better D line.
Yeah, the first thing I wrote about this was it says something that he was on their draft board, but they took a long snapper before him. So I don't know how good that looks. But from what I watched, he has good size and he plays hard. He can be disruptive at points. He can pass rush pretty well, but it seems like his pass rush kind of fades as the game goes on. He needs to work on his technique a little, but, you know, he has the size. He has the tangibles at the very least. So, yeah, again, at the very least, he can be a guy that comes in and makes some noise for a player too.
And then overall, as a complete draft class, I think this is one of the better ones we've had in at least a decade, because Marty Herney and Tepper would have, or not Marty Herney, hold on. Not Marty Herney. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, no, it was Marty Herney. Okay, yeah. Marty Herney would have like a couple good rounds and then would drop off in the late rounds, but now our drafts are like, this draft at least was really good, and hopefully it continues the next couple years, at the very least anyway.
I agree. I think you guys have one of the best drafts in the whole league. I like it a lot.
we basically filled like all of the holes that we had on our team except for I guess debatable quarterback. But besides
Yeah,
that,
people will always, you know, throw flack at any team that doesn't draft a shiny new quarterback that doesn't have a superstar quarterback already. But again, I think it's worth it to give Sam a chance. So if he doesn't work out and you guys end up in that draft spot again next year, then you'll get his replacement next year or the year after.
yeah, I think it's fair to at least give Sam a chance because some people like I don't know if you saw my argument the other day, but I had a huge argument with this dude on Twitter over Sam Darnold because
Nah, I didn't.
he was already like saying Sam's not going to do anything, Sam's not going to win any games, Sam's not going to do this. Like he played on the Jets, so he's bad. Like dude, not even
Yeah.
give him a chance. He's just like already trashing him and won't even like let him continue the season.
Yeah, like as the guy on your last episode said, Adam Gase didn't use motion at all in the year 2020. So the year he was coaching, 2020. Or did he coach last year too?
Who?
Yeah,
Gase?
no, last year was 2020 anyways. So yeah, he didn't use motion at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to evaluate any player on that team, considering the coaching and the misfortune that whole franchise has had for the last few years. So I think a good start, a breath of fresh air is going to be, it has the potential to be a complete change for him.
Exactly, I agree with that. I just hope people at least give him a chance rather than just saying our season's over before it begins.
Yeah.
And then after that, so I want to hear you first before I say mine. What do you think? Since there's 17 games now this season, what do you think our record is going to be based on the draft and our off-season pickups?
The Panthers record?
Yes.
Let me look at your guys' opponents real quick.
Okay.
Panthers opponents 2021. All right, so you guys play Bucks, Saints, Falcons, obviously.
Yeah.
Washington, Philly, the Jets, the Pats, the Vikings, Cowboys, Giants. I thought you guys played us again this year. I guess not.
Yeah, I guess not.
Our games are always good. I always love a good Panthers-Packers game. Like the last 2 years, I think it was the same exact score, but
Yeah.
they were both one-possession games.
Yeah. Yo, I think y'all beat us on the. We had a goal line chance to win the game, and y'all
That
stopped
was
us.
2 years ago. I
Oh,
remember
that was
the
2 years.
CMC got stopped on the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But let me think about this. I say you guys can split one with the Saints.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think you could possibly split one with the Bucks. Possibly. Cuz they did just win the Super Bowl and they looked pretty dominant in it, but you know the Super Bowl hangover and everything and
Yeah.
I'll say you'll the Falcons. See, I don't know what to think about the Falcons. Like it always seems like they're boom or bust. Their defense is so terrible though. I say you guys win both of the games against the Falcons.
Okay.
I'll take you guys over Washington.
Okay.
I think the Cowboys are gonna have a bounce back year, so I'll say you drop that one. You'll beat the Eagles for sure, and the Giants. I'll say. You'll beat the Jets. I have confidence you'll beat the Jets. The Bills is probably a dropped game. It's the Bills. They're really good. I love the Bills. I think they're. Well, I mean, they're not really a sleeper anymore because they just made the AFC Championship. But the Pats could be a close game. You're home for that. I'll say you'll win that one.
That's gonna be an interesting game against Cam.
Yeah, I agree. If he's still starting, I mean, I think he will.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna sit Mac Jones for a year. I think that's how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You guys really don't have a very tough schedule. Not gonna lie, looks pretty good for you guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping we at least make wild card this season.
Yeah, the Vikings. The Vikings had a really good draft. They still have Kirk Cousins as quarterback though, so if it's on a Monday, that's a guaranteed win for you guys.
Oh yeah.
But I'll have to think about that one more. You guys will beat the Dolphins. I'll say you'll drop one to the Cardinals, and you'll beat the Texans. So I think I had 6 or 7. Let me count that up. Oh, and then the Vikings. Let me think.
Damn. So I think you have us like 8-9.
Yeah, something like that. Let me count it up real quick. One against the Bucks. One against the Saints. 2 against the Falcons. Washington, Philly, New York. Both New York teams. I think you'll beat both of them. Miami and Houston. So, yeah, I have you guys at 10 to 11 wins in all honesty. If I had to bet right now on each one of those games, I'd have you guys in 10 or 11 of them. Which should be good for a wild card spot.
Yeah. I think our floor would be like 7-10, and then the ceiling probably like 11-6, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Your range is about. I was gonna say 7 at the very least, and then 12, maybe 13 if Sam Darnold has a really good year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's looking really good for you guys with the schedule and the pickups you guys made.
I actually might end up going to that Cowboys game, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. Hopefully win that game if I go, though, because I went to the Houston game a couple years ago, and we ended up winning that game. That game was crazy. You remember that McCaffrey diving catch against Houston?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was a game I went and saw.
You were there? That was crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if I should even worry about the Falcons, because... Oh, no, it wasn't the Falcons, it was the Saints. Because they have Jameis Winston at QB now.
Yeah, that's... The thing about it is I really trust Sean Payton's offense, and if he trusts Jameis Winston, then I'll trust him too. And especially since he sat behind like one of the best ball protectors in league history, in Drew Brees, for a while. Like, he could have learned some things from him, but then again, like, decision making's really something like that's kind of hard to shake from somebody.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of just how they play. So, yeah, if they're having like a QB tear the whole season and they can't decide if they're gonna have Jameis or who knows, Taysom Hill or whoever else out there, yeah, I could see you guys taking both of the games. But if they play like the Saints, the Sean Payton Saints, and they're, you know, a perennial 12-13 win team, I'll say you'll split them at best.
I'd say the main team in our division that I'd probably be worried about is Buccaneers, obviously, because they just won the Super Bowl. And then on top of that, they kept everyone and upgraded their team. So I personally think they're definitely the team to worry about this season in our division anyway.
Yeah. Like I agree, and obviously it was before like the Buccaneers really like kicked it into the next gear. But like during the regular season especially, they were looking really volatile and not volatile, they were looking beatable. Like, they barely beat the Giants. They lost to I don't remember. They lost but they lost 5 games, and a few of them didn't look the best. So I think if you're gonna beat the Bucs, it's gonna be in the regular season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you guys have a chance to split them, but I don't see both games.
And then one last player that I forgot to mention in the beginning during the draft, we picked up an undrafted free agent. We picked up David Moore. He was an offensive lineman at Grambling. I think that was just... Do you think it was more depth, or do you think he's going to start?
That's probably more of a depth piece,
Yeah.
honestly. But I mean, he could start. I don't really know how your tackles are, but I
Well,
don't think they're the best.
I think he played center, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Did he?
I think so. Hold on. Let me see. The Panthers staff tried more at center during the week of practice leading up to the Senior Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what was he? Was he? He was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, non-draft free agent.
Yeah, he'll probably end up being a rotational piece, but could have opportunities.
Yeah, hopefully we find a better solution for like switching guys in, because like Curtis Samuel, when Monty Hurney was here, like Curtis Samuel, oh no, it was Ron Rivera that had that decision. Never mind. So when Ron Rivera was here, Curtis Samuel would have like a huge play, and then he'd tell Curtis to sit down on the bench right after he'd have like a 50-yard catch for some reason.
Dang. Yeah. Not a good look.
Yeah, and then we would end up kicking a field goal or something instead of scoring a touchdown because he decided to put him on the bench. I just didn't agree with that. But
Yeah, so I really like your guys' receiving core. David Moore and Terrace Marshall.
yeah. And DJ Moore, and then Robbie.
Oh yeah, DJ. Yeah.
Yeah, and then McCaffrey too, if you count him as a receiver.
Oh yeah, he's obviously
Yeah.
a receiver practically.
The
He can be.
1K season.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Isaac. It was fun
Of
talking
course,
to you.
man.
Appreciate it.
You too. Anytime.